Episode 5. The final night on the peak of holy Luminance continued. The shattering of Desperamater's massive form trembled. The countless souls bound within his body began to glow faintly, as if responding to a forgotten call from before time itself had scars. No, Amadar whispered, his voice now no longer a chorus of hatred, but a single, wounded cry. Do not awaken what I buried in the abyss of eternity. But Jesus took another step forward. The mountain shook beneath his feet. Yet the earth did not break, it healed where he walked. Cracked stones sealed themselves, ash turned back into living soil. The air, once thick with despair, began to breathe again. You buried the light because you feared its pain, Jesus said gently. But the pain of light is only the pain of change. Amadar roared and raised his colossal arms. Darkness swirled into spears of void and sorrow, hurling toward Jesus like a storm of judgment. The disciples cried out in terror, "Master!" But before the spears could strike him, Jesus spread his hands. Light erupted, not as fire, not as lightning, but as infinite mercy. The spears dissolved midair, melting into soft waves of golden radiance that washed over the mountain like dawn breaking through a blackened sky. Amadar staggered backward for the first time since his fall into darkness. He felt warmth. The disciples the shock waves of light rolled down the peak and reached the disciples. Each of them collapsed not from pain, but from visions flooding their souls. They were shown their own fears. Peter saw himself sinking beneath black waters, not from storms, but from his own doubt. John saw a world consumed by hatred, where love had no voice. Mary of Magdala saw the shadows of her past, rising once more to chain her heart. The light did not hide their weaknesses, it revealed them, and in that revelation, a voice echoed within each soul. Do you trust me, even when you see your own darkness? One by one, trembling, they answered not with words, but with surrender. I trust you, I trust you, I trust you. As their faith aligned with the light of Christ, the chains within their visions shattered. The darkness recoiled, powerless before hearts that chose trust over fear. They rose to their feet, stronger. The truth, Amadar, could not escape. No more lies, Jesus said, his voice now resonating through heaven and earth alike. You were not created to be this. Amadar clutched his chest as the memories began to tear through his false form. He saw himself as he once was, a guardian of the first dawn, a watcher at the gates of creation, a being formed not of despair, but of duty and wonder. Then he remembered the moment he chose pride over purpose, the moment he believed he could shape the world better than its creator, the moment the light within him fractured. I wanted to rule the fear, Amadar whispered, but the fear ruled me. Yes, Jesus replied, and now it no longer has to. Amadar fell to one knee. The massive structure of bound souls began to crack, releasing streams of light into the sky souls long imprisoned, now ascending like stars, being set free. The heavens responded. The blood-red moon trembled. The final assault of the ABYSS, but the darkness was not finished. From the torn sky above, the abyss itself answered. A colossal vortex of void opened a mouth of endless night, devouring stars. As it widened, ancient shadows, older than mortal sin, crawled along its edges like living scars. In reality, the voice of the abyss thundered, light does not rule here. The disciples were thrown to the ground by the pressure of that presence. Even Amadar recoiled in terror. Only Jesus remained standing. He looked up not with fear, but with sorrow. You were not forbidden, he said to the abyss. You exiled yourself. The abyss roared and unleashed a blast of pure annihilation energy that erased both matter and memory. Jesus did not evade, he stepped into it. The annihilation swallowed him completely. The mountain fell, silent, The disciples screamed. For one unbearable moment. The light was Gonex. The silence of HOP. The world held its breath. Wind ceased. Flames froze. Even the abyss stilled, as though unsure whether victory had truly been achieved. Mary fell to her knees, tears breaking free. "Lord," she whispered, "not like this." Peter clenched his fists until blood ran between his fingers. "We followed him to the end," he murmured. Was this the end? But deep within the silence, a faint sound emerged. A heartbeat, not loud, not violent, steady. Then another, and another. From within the core of annihilation, a pinprick of light appeared. The pinprick expanded. The darkness recoiled. The abyss screamed not in triumph, but in terror. She. The revelation of true POWR light burst outward not as destruction, but as resurrection. Jesus stepped forth unharmed, his form now radiant beyond mortal sight. The wounds of sacrifice glowed like living stars across his hands. "You cannot erase what was never created by hatred," he said. The blast of his presence alone pushed the abyss back. The vortex in the sky began to collapse inward, sealing itself like a wound touched by divine fire. The ancient shadows dissolved. Their screams faded into nothingness. The sky cleared for the first time that night, and the moon slowly bled back into silver. Amadar looked upon Jesus with eyes no longer filled with malice, but with awe. "You walked into nothingness, and returned," he whispered. Jesus approached him. "No," he said softly. "I walked into despair, and I brought hope with me." He placed his hand upon Amadar's shattered chest. Light poured in. The bound souls erupted free in a radiant storm, ascending into the heavens like a trillion liberated stars. Amadar's monstrous form cracked, shed its darkness, and collapsed inward. Only a single luminous being remained, trembling and small, where the Titan once stood. 12. The redemption of the Fal Leon. The being knelt before Jesus. No longer a demon, no longer a god of despair, only a servant who had lost his way. "I do not deserve mercy," he said. Jesus lifted his face. "Mercy is not a reward," he replied. "It is the nature of love." Tears of light fell from the redeemed one's eyes. The mountain was silent again. But now it was the silence of peace. At dawn's edge, the first rays of a new sunrise touched the peak of holy luminance. The final night was ending.